Vasilisa Igorovna is a very brave lady, remarked Shvabrine, gravely. Ivan Kuzmich knows something of that. Oh. Yes, indeed, said Ivan Kuzmich, she's no coward. And Marya Ivanovna, I asked her mother, is she as bold as you? Masha, replied the lady, no, Masha is a coward. Till now she has never been able to hear a gun fired without trembling all over. It is 2 years ago now since Ivan Kuzmich took it into his head to fire his cannon on my birthday. She was so frightened, the poor little dove, she nearly ran away into the other world. Since that day we have never fired that confounded cannon anymore. We got up from table, the commandant and his wife went to take their siesta, and I went to Shvabrine's quarters, where we passed the evening together. Chapter 4 The Duel. Several weeks passed, during which my life in Fort Belogorsk became not merely endurable, but even pleasant. I was received like one of the family and the household of the commandant. The husband and wife were excellent people. Ivan Kuzmich, who had been a child of the regiment, had become an officer, and was a simple, uneducated man, but good and true. His wife led him completely, which, by the way, very well suited his natural laziness. It was Vasilisa Igorovna who directed all military business as she did that of her household, and commanded in the little fort as she did in her house. Marya Ivanovna soon ceased being shy, and we became better acquainted. I found her a warm-hearted and sensible girl. By degrees I became attached to this honest family, even to Iwan Ignatievich, the one-eyed lieutenant, whom Shvabrine accused of secret intrigue with Vasilisa Igorovna, an accusation which had not even a shadow of probability. But that did not matter to Shvabrine. I became an officer. My work did not weigh heavily upon me. In this heaven-blessed fort there was no drill to do, no guard to mount, nor review to pass. Sometimes the commandant instructed his soldiers for his own pleasure. But he had not yet succeeded in teaching them to know their right hand from their left. Shvabrine had some French books, I took to reading, and I acquired a taste for literature. In the morning I used to read, and I tried my hand at translations, sometimes even at compositions in verse. Nearly every day I dined at the commandant's, where I usually passed the rest of the day. In the evening, Father Gerasim used to drop in, accompanied by his wife, Akulina, who was the sturdiest gossip of the neighborhood. It is scarcely necessary to say that every day we met, Shvabrine and I, still hour by hour his conversation pleased me less. His everlasting jokes about the commandant's family, and, above all, his witty remarks upon Marya Ivanovna, displeased me very much. I had no other society but that of this family within the little fort, but I did not want any other. In spite of all the prophecies, the Bashkirs did not revolt. Peace reigned around our little fort. But this peace was suddenly troubled by war within. I have already said I dabbled a little in literature. My attempts were tolerable for the time, and Somarokov 43 himself did justice to them many years later. One day I happened to write a little song which pleased me. It is well known that under color of asking advice, authors willingly seek a benevolent listener. I copied out my little song, and took it to Shvabrine, the only person in the fort who could appreciate a poetical work. After a short preface, I drew my manuscript from my pocket, and read to him the following verses. By waging war with thoughts of love I try to forget my beauty, alas! By flight from Masha, I hope my freedom to regain. But the eyes which enslaved me are ever before me. My soul have they troubled and ruined my rest. Oh! Masha, who knowest my sorrows, seeing me in this miserable plight, take pity on thy captive. What do you think of that? I said to Shvabrine, expecting praise as a tribute due to me. But to my great displeasure Shvabrine, who usually showed kindness, told me flatly my song was worth nothing. Why? I asked, trying to hide my vexation. Because such verses, replied he, are only worthy of my master Tretiakovsky, 45 and, indeed, remind me very much of his little erotic couplets. He took the MSS from my hand and began unmercifully criticizing each verse, each word, cutting me up in the most spiteful way. That was too much for me. I snatched the MSS out of his hands, and declared that never, no never, would I ever again show him one of my compositions. Schwebrine did not laugh the less at this threat. Let us see, said he, if you will be able to keep your word. Poets have as much need of an audience as Ivan Kuzmich has need of his petit verre before dinner. And who is this Masha to whom you declare your tender sentiments and your ardent flame? Surely it must be Marya Ivanovna? That does not concern you, replied I, frowning. I don't ask for your advice nor your suppositions. Oh! Oh! A vain poet and a discreet lover, continued Schwebrine, irritating me more and more. Listen to a little friendly advice. If you wish to succeed, I advise you not to stick at songs. What do you mean, sir? I exclaimed. Explain yourself if you please. With pleasure, rejoined he.